So let's look at the situation before we make any configuration changes. So in the Internet options, we can see what we've got set for using HTTP 1.1, and at the moment we have use HTTP 1.1 through proxy connections set. Use the developer toolbar here to clear the browser cache so that we start with a clean slate. And now we'll switch over to Charles and turn on recording. Back to the browser, hit refresh, and we can see that in Charles we've recorded the requests and responses. Let's look at one of these. So this is a CSS resource, and we can see if we look at this that we're using HTTP 1.1 here, and we're getting some compression. Look at the request itself. We have an accept encoding header for gzip. We look at the response. We've got a content encoding of gzip and vary header with accept encoding set. Now if we refresh this again to see what happens on subsequent requests, we look at this one, we're actually getting a 304 response, not modified, because our request has an if modified since header. And when we look at the general tab, we can see that the total size of request and response is 715 bytes. So though we made a request to the server, we didn't actually have to download any data. We read it from the cache. Now we come back over here to the browser, change the options. So now we're going to switch to use 1.0 through proxies. Because we're using 1.0, we're not going to get any compression. Turn recording back on. Refresh the screen. Let's look at the first request. So the same CSS resource and no compression because we're using HTTP 1.0 up here. Look at the request, we've got no accept encoding, and look at the response. In the response though, we still have that vary accept encoding header. Refresh again, look at this second request. Actually the second request, so we look at this one. And again, we're downloading the whole file here. Request does not have an if modified since header. Response is a 200, and all of the data comes back. So we're actually making no use of the IE6 cache at this point.